Well, howdy, welcome to One for the Books. I'm Sandy Broadwell, and today we're going to talk about my fall TBR. These are the books that are the highest priority for me to get to in September, October, and November. It's ambitious. I normally don't even talk about my TBR because I don't want to lock myself into anything that I will have promised you guys I'm going to read. So this is not a promise. These are hopes and dreams. But I try to typically plan out about 6 books per month, and thus far this year, my average has only been about 4.5 books that I've actually read per month. So it's highly unlikely I will actually get to all of these books, but again, hopes and dreams. So to kick off, I'm filming this on September 1st. I realize you won't read this or see this for another week or so, but I just started reading The Will of the Many by James Islington. I am about 25% of the way into that right now. The Will of the Many is a story about a young man named Viz who was a member of the royal family in a kingdom that was taken over by the empire. Everyone thinks that the royal family was killed, and so he's been in hiding basically for the remainder of his childhood. He lives in an orphanage, but he is adopted by a senator for the hierarchy, the empire, who wants to use him as a spy at this Royal Academy sort of thing. And there's lots of political intrigue and maneuverings, and there's different factions at play. It's really, really good so far. So that is my first book on the fall TBR, and I'm so excited. I had planned to read this in anticipation of the sequel coming out next month or in November. So both The Will of the Many and The Strength of the Few, its sequel, are on my fall TBR. Actually, the majority of my fall TBR is new releases. There are so many stacked new releases coming out in October and November this year, more so than any other year that I've been on BookTube, I feel like, but I'm gonna try and do my best to keep up with them. Next on my fall TBR is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. This one actually came out in August, and I immediately put a hold on it as soon as my Libby app told me it was available. There's still 12 weeks wait left on my Libby app before I'm gonna get my hands on it. I've considered just buying it because I've loved everything else by R.F. Kuang so far. We'll see how long I can hold out. But yes, Catabasis by R.F. Kuang is high on the list, and that is a story about a pair of college students whose professor dies and they have to go to hell to save him in order to finish their dissertations or something. So it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I'm just trusting R.F. Kuang on this one. Then we have The Memory of the Ogisi. This is also a new release that has already come out, and I have the hold for it on my Libby app, but this is the third and final novella in the Forever Desert series. This series reads like mythology. Each story is different, but all set within the Forever Desert, which is a really brutal place. People are constantly starving for resources. And the third book, I have gotten the impression from reading the author's notes at the end of the first two, is the whole reason that the author wrote the series was to really build up towards this third novella. So I'm very excited to see how that's going to play out. Next on the TBR, I have The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick, which is the first book in the Rook and Rose series. I got all 3 of these books for Christmas this year, and I am planning to read them all this fall. M.A. Carrick is an author duo, one half of which is Marie Brennan, who wrote the Natural History of Dragons or the Lady Trent series, and I absolutely loved that series. I read all 5 books. So I have a feeling I'm really going to like this. This is a Venetian-inspired court intrigue story about a con woman who tries to sneak her way into a noble family in order to swindle them. And that's pretty much all I know. I have actually started this book already, but then my hold for Will of the Many came in, so I put this one down in favor of reading my library hold. But I will be reading the Rook and Rose trilogy interspersed between the new releases that become available. Each of these is a chunk. They're over 600 pages, so it will probably take me a while to get through them, but I'm very excited. The second book is called The Liar's Knot, and the third book is called Labyrinth's Heart. Then I'm planning to do a gothic Halloween reading vlog. I've already read the first book for that actually, which was The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. And so I've already recorded the first part of the vlog, but the second two books I will be reading this fall. And that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And this is a Gothic classic about a woman who gets taken to the estate of her new husband, and when she gets there, everything feels very weird, and everyone, all of that, like house servants and everyone that she meets is obsessed with her husband's ex-wife, whose name was Rebecca. And it's just kind of a weird fever dream Gothic story. But I've heard it's really, really good, so I'm gonna give it a try. And then the other one to fulfill my 3 for my Gothic reading vlog is going to be The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, which is like one of the ultimate haunted house stories. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Then my 2 new releases that are coming out in October that I'm very excited about. The first being A Mouthful of Dust by Niveau. That is the 6th novella, I think, in the Singing Hills cycle. The Singing Hills cycle follows a monk named Chi, who is like a historian slash story collector. They travel around the realm and like listen to people's stories and record them in perpetuity for the Singing Hills Abbey. They have a talking bird companion called a Nixon that can record or basically like forever remember everything that it ever hears. And they're very cozy reads. Some of them, they all have a little bit of a different vibe, I feel. The last one was actually my favorite one because it had a bit of a horror vibe to it, and that was The Brides of High Hill. So really looking forward to see what's going on in A Mouthful of Dust, and there's a cat on the cover. I just did a whole vlog about cats on the cover of books, so check that out if you are intrigued by that. And then the second new release in October is All That We See or Seem by Qian Lu. And Qian Lu is the author of The Dandelion Dynasty, which I read last year and I had so much fun reading. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in a sci-fi novel. And I think this is the start of a new series, and honestly, I don't really know what it's about, but I'm willing to give it a go because I trust Qian Lu. Then sticking on the sci-fi train, I will be doing a priority sci-fi reads video coming up soon, and one of the ones I'm going to talk about in that is this series, which is a duology by Arkady Martine. The first one is called A Memory Called Empire, and the second one is called A Desolation Called Peace. I've heard really great things about this. I think it is a lot of political intrigue in a kind of sci-fi setting. I believe the main character in this series is like an ambassador to a foreign planet. So I think that sounds really cool, and I'm excited to see what the hype is about for this duology. And then finally, moving into November, there are 4 new releases coming out in November. I guess one of them is the end of October, but I won't be able to get my hands on it, I know, until at least November. The Everlasting by Alexi Harrow and The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. Both of these have very similar sounding premises, and they're both authors that I've read from and loved before. Alexi Harrow is the author of The 10,000 Doors of January and The Once and Future Witches, also The Starling House, which I have not read yet. Tasha Suri was the author of the Burning Kingdoms trilogy, which starts with The Jasmine Throne. Loved all of these books. So it's interesting that they have books coming out like within a couple of weeks of each other that have such similar sounding premises. But basically the main character in both of these books is a lady knight, and there is like a forbidden love story sort of thing going on. In The Everlasting, the lady knight is like a historical figure, and there's like a historian that travels back in time to learn about her or something, and like they fall in love, and it's like this forbidden thing, and it creates this time loop where they're constantly breaking each other's hearts. And then The Isle in the Silver Sea is about a lady knight that falls in love with a witch, and this is like a forbidden romance sort of thing, and they have to figure out a way to like break the cycle. There's some sort of cycle involved in both of these that might involve time travel. I'm not really sure. So because these two are both coming out, I want to give both of them a try because of who the authors are. I thought I would just do a Lady Knights themed vlog because there was another book that came out a couple of years ago that had a lady knight on it. The cover was designed by my favorite all-time cover artist, Martina Fakova, and the book is called The Fireborn Blade. And this is about this is not like a romantasy one. This is a lady knight that is tasked to like kill the White Dragon or something like that. And I believe that one is a novella as well. So I might just do a whole Lady Nights vlog. And then the other two new releases that are coming out in November that I'm excited about. Number one being The Strength of the Few, which I already mentioned, the sequel to The Will of the Many, which is the book I'm currently reading. And then the other one is Brigands and Bread Knives by Travis Baldree, and this is in the same world as Legends and Lattes. I loved Legends and Lattes. I was unimpressed by the sequel, Bookshops and Bone Dust. I thought it was fine, but definitely a bit of a letdown compared to the first one. So I'm willing to give this third one a chance and see, does it bring back the vibes I got in Legends of Lattes, or is it going to be more of a fine read like Bookshops and Bone Dust? And that might determine whether I read future releases in this world. But the covers of these books are just flawless. They're so cute. So that is it as far as my fall TBR goes. However, because so many of these books are new releases, especially getting into like November, I think it's unlikely I will be able to get my hands on all of these books before the fall is over. And so some of these that I just mentioned might get pushed into December. And also November is the Goodreads Choice Awards. So I always have a lot of fun like making some content around the Goodreads Choice Awards. Because I have read so many new releases this year, I think there's a good chance I'll have read quite a few of the fantasy releases that will be on the Choice Awards. So that'll be interesting. But last year I did a sci-fi vlog because I hadn't read like any of the sci-fi new releases except for one or two. And I just wanted to see what was going on in sci-fi. And so I might do something like that again this year. If I can't get my hands on my new releases that I want, I might try and do like a reading some Goodreads Choice Awards picks sort of vlog in lieu of being able to get my hands on the fantasy books that I want. Other video plans I have coming up, I'm going to be doing the end of the year book tag, probably at the end of September. I have done that for the last several years and I think that's a fun book tag to do, and it's just kind of looking, it's not like actually end of the year, but it's like looking towards the end of the year and like planning and thinking through like what your last quarter is going to hold. And then, like I said, I have a Priority Sci-Fi Reads video coming up, Lady Nights vlog, maybe a Goodreads vlog, Gothic Halloween vlog. That's kind of the majority of the content that I have planned so far. So I still have a lot of gaps that I need to figure out what sort of content I'm going to be doing for most of October and November. I'm open to suggestions. If you guys have any, please leave them down in the comments below. And please be sure to let me know what books you are most looking forward to reading this fall. I would love to add them to my own TBR. Thanks so much for hanging out. As always, please be kind, read books, and hit the subscribe button down below for more bookish content to come. I'll see you soon.